Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the next video. In this video we're going to discuss, as we promised, about the soul, spirituality, or we call it in Islam ruh. It's one of the most exciting topics for me, and it's also the least known for us as humans. So what is a soul anyway? Right? It's not something we can touch, it's not something we can see, but we believe as Muslims we all have one. As a matter of fact, majority of the cultures in the world, in one way, shape, or form, they believe that humans have this thing, what we call soul, right? So what is it? What does it really matter we talk about this? If you remember the analogy, I'm building up the analogy from the beginning of the series. We discussed about the body as being a car, right? We discussed about the mind being the systems or computer in the car. And then we discussed, now we're coming to the soul. So what is the soul? Soul is a driver. That's you inside a car. Now it makes sense, isn't it? That your soul is your entity, who you are in this journey. So I read this analogy from Imam al-Ghazali. He's a very beautiful analogy. I'm going to build up upon that. He says that imagine you are in a car with your mind, the intelligence system going on, and you as a driver, as your soul is the driver. And then your faith, your iman is the light. That's a nur that's opening your way. And the dunya is your domain. That's where you're driving through. And deen is the path. Deen is the road, right? That's why we never say deen or dunya. It's the deen and dunya, right? We're going through dunya on the path of deen. That's what we hope, inshallah, Allah. And we hope that's why we keep asking about the straight path. This is a straight path. And then we can extend analogy and say, okay, if that is the case, then what is salah? Salah is more like a GPS. What I mean is that you know where you want to go, and you need to check up. You know, in our case, 5 times. Like, am I going to? As I told the example, from coming to my home here, I probably looked at the GPS 50 times. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to look at our path at least 5 times a day, making sure we are on the right path and asking for guidance. Right? It's being mindful, etc. And then, so what is the goal? Where are we going? We believe we are going, we hope, we hope this is what we want to end up with anyway, to Jannah, to the good place where we can meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we can meet the Prophet and other prophets and other people, to join that party, right? And as we say in Islam, inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. We really belong to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we will return, and we are returning. There's no other way. So either we know it or not, we are returning, right? So as you can see, it makes sense why we're building analogies, you understand it better on road. And in the next section, we're going to discuss about the purpose, what invitation is, inshallah. But in this thing, I just want to focus on the soul itself. So soul is one of those things very, very less known. But based on what we know, while in the West, they talk about freedom, right? Freedom, do whatever you want. Islam also believes in freedom, but not that kind of freedom. What Islam believes is the freedom of the soul, not on the body, our worldly desires, not our feelings, but the soul. And why? Because we believe the soul is the thing that goes back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The soul is one of the commandments of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You can read in the Quran what Allah says, I have breathed into Adam out of my ruh, right? I'm not going to do the interpretation of that, but what it means is that when remember the origin story, right? When the Iblis looked at the Adam, he said, oh, that's just the clay, you know? But what it didn't anticipate is this thing where we have the soul makes us who we are. It can, inshallah, that if you remember the story that asked everybody in that presence to make sajda to Adam alayhi salam. And the reason, not because he was because of the dust, right, or the other elements, but because of that potentiality of the soul. And everybody did except Iblis. We know the whole story. But then, but it's a potentiality. It doesn't mean everybody has a soul is gonna be great. And the formula in the Quran is also, whoever purifies their soul, they are the ones who are successful. What does it mean? Soul is like a light, a nur, and shining light right? Every time we do a good thing, it just goes brighter. Every time something, we do bad scene, and we know from hadith that there comes a spot on this lamp. And hopefully we'll go back with the tawab to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and polish it and keep on moving on. It's like, as I said, you are in this journey, sometimes gets foggy, sometimes not clear, and sometimes sunny. And our goal is, no matter what, we're going to keep going. We're going to keep going back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, keep shining this thing, what we have soul. And the reason why Islam wants the freedom of the soul is that we believe the soul belongs to the main source, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to that realm. If you give the full freedom to the soul, not to your body, not to your emotion, not even to your aql, right, the intellect, by the soul is something that wants to expand. The soul goes back to the source. And soul is the one who wants to do amazing things about you, about your life. Imagine your best version of life. Soul wants to express that. But the problem is, what we do, we contain the soul most of the time. What we do is that, my bodily needs or my emotional needs and intellectual needs as the ones just holding the soul at in captivity. So our goal as Muslims is that we want to make all other things we discussed, the body, mind, and even the heart, to be subservient to the soul, not the vice versa, right? So that's the story of the soul. And going back to the questions again, and if you remember, we're giving examples about the spirituality. The first mindfulness mindset, we said, this is a conversation between you and yourself, right? And the heart, we said, this is a conversation, relationship between you and others. And the soul is the conversation between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So as you can see, it's growing, in that order. So how do we polish the soul? How do we remind the soul things to do? As said, this is doing our basic things we are told to do, doing our salah and doing our zikr. And this is the basics, right? And even we mentioned last time, just keeping one word, alhamdulillah. But as I mentioned in the book as well, inshallah, in here, what we're trying to do, I don't want to get the notion as just polishing your soul, and spirituality is not just limited to dhikr or our salah. It is actually anything we do, as long as it's good and halal, as long as it's good with intention, could be a part of that journey, could be a part of that ibadah, as serving. We call it Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is what we want to aim, okay? So we will get to that, don't worry, we'll get to that in detail in the next videos, but that is what I want to understand. So this is where I'm going to ask you those 4 questions. Question number 1, what are your goals for your spirituality, for your soul to be? Having said that, what are your beliefs? Take a 2 minutes and I will see you in a bit. Okay, so what are your goals for your soul? Having said that, I want to explain something, right? Maybe we can put the diagram here. It's also in the book. We discuss about Islamic psychology, how you look at the human body. And we discuss the mind, body, soul. Mind, body, heart as our main components. And we have the upper soul and the lower self. Upper soul we call the ruh, bottom one we call the nafs, the ego, which requires all of the worldly desires and stuff. And the soul wants to do amazing things that's going to inspire you, that's going to expand you. So we are between these two states of fitra and ghafla, right? Always fluctuating. So what are your goals for your soul? Just having said that, we're coming back to that three types of souls, at least we know from Quran. Nafs al-ammara bil-su, nafs al-lawwama, and nafs al-mutma'inna. If you remember, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Ya ayyuha al-nafs al-mutma'inna, irji ila rabbiki, He calls us to enter to Jannah. And the nafs al-ammara bil-su means the nafs inclined towards evil. What does it really mean is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us all of these tools, but if you don't care, if you don't take care of it, if you keep doing bad things, don't care about it, as I told you, that light becomes dark because all the spots keep coming, you don't polish it. At one point, you're driving in darkness. You don't see anything. You may end up doing a crash and other things, right? So that's what it means. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to save us from that state. That's the lowest level of the soul. And then nafs al-lawwama. Nafs al-lawwama is in the middle. I think a lot of us in this level. Nafs al-lawwama, it means self-reproaching soul. It means we are aware of it, where we are. Sometimes we do bad, we go back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we do good. And it's like going up and down, right? And majority of us in this state, I hope, and we Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help us to go to the next level, which is the third one, which we're talking about, nafs al-mutma'inna. And that's the ultimate goal, which is to be our soul at peace. What does it really mean to be at peace? Is that to understanding that everything, to understand the reality we are in, and to be okay with everything else when it sends our way. And I think this is something I can explain probably by just giving an example. I'm one of the big fans of the movie Matrix. Some of you guys may have seen it. In the first part of the movie, first movie, if you remember the Neo towards the end of the movie when he looks at the agents, right? Maybe we can put some screenshots here. When you look at the agents, he don't see them as agents. Everything turns into code, the green one. He understands that the point is just all simulation. It's not him that moves. It's not him that kicks. And he's just part of the system. And he can manipulate. He can get away with it. In a similar way, one of the things I like that movie is that there are a lot of parallels, analogies with the world we live in, right? We believe as Muslims this is some kind of world, a big simulation, right? That's what we believe in. That's what we are going. If that is the case, and we also know that's a test, everything good and bad comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If that is the case, this is a soul's realization, not intellectually, not theoretically, but also in practice and being at peace. Everything comes your way. You know it's from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to test you. If it's good, we say Alhamdulillah. If it's bad, we say Alhamdulillah, because we know that we are being tested, we are moving forward towards the thing. So we are not reacting, we are more in a different state. And that's the goal for all of us, to be the nafs, the soul at peace with everything Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sends our way. Because guess what? There's going to be bumps on the road. It's not going to be just, an easy ride, because everybody has to be tested to some extent. That's what's going on. And that's something not realizing one time, but actually internalizing and being at peace. It means that will affect who you are, your mindset, your heart set, your body set, and soul set as well, to take you to the next level. And that's what we want to be. So sorry that this question got a bit longer, but I want to understand which soul you want to be. That's your goal. Take 2 minutes, and we'll come back to the next question. Next question, the third question, question number 3. Why you want to be where you want to go with this goal, right? I want you to write it down and come back in the next question. And the last question, how is it you're going to get there? What are the steps you're going to take to go where you want to go with your goals of the soul? For some of us, if you have never done anything, it could be just, saying Alhamdulillah after you wake up, building as a habit, or before you go to sleep, or doing some azkar. For some of us, it could be even more. But whatever that is, write it down how you're going to get there, even as a small step, and you can build on top of that. Okay? So this is it for this thing. Take your time. And the next video, we're going to discuss about our journey, which we will start with the purpose, destination, and goal. And I will see you there. Assalamu alaikum.